Hey, everybody. So, how old do you think fear is? You would be right if you would say as old as the Bible, because the first human, Adam, had expressed fear. He was afraid that God will find him after he ate from the fruit that is not allowed, right? And then Abraham had fear, several fears. He posed his Sarah, his wife, to save him because he thought that once they find out Sarah so attractive and it would be endangering his own life. So he expressed fear and always reassured by God not to worry. And so fear is as old as humanity. Nothing new under the sun. But I want to tell you about a way to handle fear that is as old as the Bible. Not Adam, not Abraham, but Jacob. And I want you to think of a situation that you are afraid now. And admit it, because fear is a vulnerable place to be, right? So ask yourself, what are you afraid of? And I want to take you through something and you tell me if that works for you. And what works for you out of that? I'm going to show you three prongs of action to take when you are experiencing fear. First, say it, admit it, share it. Don't bottle it in. Jacob says, I am afraid. He admits it. That he says right before he leaves Laban and he goes back to his Canaan, to the land that God promised. And he is knowing that his brother, from whom he stole the firstborn right and the blessing, he is coming toward him with 400 people. And he says, I'm afraid. And let me tell you, he's got reason to be afraid because he had done something that is not very good, which is a whole side story of how we still honor him and say that he's one of our forefathers, even though he's not perfect. And guess what? None of the patriarchs are perfect. None of humanity is perfect. So if you think for yourself, you need to be perfect, perfect as a parent, perfect as an employee, perfect as a boss, think again. No one is perfect. We are all on this journey to get better. Well, most of us that want to improve themselves, right? There's always those people, they don't want to improve themselves, that think that they're right and that they're the only one who are right. I'm not talking about them today, okay? I'm talking about you and me. All right. So first, admit that you are fearful. Number two, don't let the fear stop you. Strategize. What did Jacob do? He starts sending gifts to appease Esau and at the same time strategize in case he needs to go to a war, dividing the camp, putting his family in the back, right? Strategize. So in your life, when you're afraid of something, does that fear paralyzes you? Or do you say to yourself, okay, I know I'm afraid. What can I do about that? What's important right now that I need to strategize so that I can get what maybe I want at the long run? What is it for you? But don't stop there. Here comes, I think, a beautiful moment is where Jacob at night is wrestled, and different commentators will say, who did he wrestle with? Was it an angel? Was it Esau angel? Was it God? Was it Jacob himself? We don't know, so I'm going to leave it up to interpretation. But he wrestles with something within him whatever you want to call it, about coming to terms with the things that he had done. And at the very end, at the end of the fight, the end of the wrestling with himself, he asks for a blessing and he prays. Sometimes things are out of our hands and we need to lean into that which is outside of us for support, for strength. And then he says a beautiful, beautiful word. He says, katonti. Katonti means I'm small. In English, depending on what translation you're reading, it means I am becoming diminished. But I like the idea of I am small. And that's such a humble thing to say for us too today. When do you say, you know, with all of these things that I'm afraid of, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to try to overcome my fear. I'm going to try to appease, communicate, collaborate, trying to find a happy medium, or I need to fight. I need to stand on my own. I need to tell them, to show them, to prove that I am in the right. And I need to also pray and ask for guidance from outside sources. So what is it for you? And then, can you be humble in the process and not think that your way is the only way and that you're bigger than anybody else around? I think that's a beautiful moment, is the idea that we are small. Katonti, we are small. Eventually, when Jacob meets Esau greets him and they hug. There is a commentary that says that Esau leaned on Jacob's neck and actually bit him, but the angels made, and that's a story, it's not in the Bible, they made the skin, the neck of Jacob like marble, so it didn't actually hurt Jacob. And the reason they're saying that is because in the Torah, in the scroll, when someone reads that, above the word kissing him, when Esau kissed Jacob, there are all these dots, dot, 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 dot. So anybody who reads it, the scroll, could see it. And the reason is given by all these commentators that here was an attempt to bite. Don't know if it's true. Nonetheless, there was some kind of an embrace of some sort. And then Esau says, you don't have to give me gifts. I have much. In Hebrew, he says, yesh li rav. Rav means much. To which Jacob really insists that he will take the gifts, which Esau ends up taking, which really closes the cycle and the circle of Jacob taking away from Esau. Now it's the return. But then Jacob says something beautiful. And with that, I want to leave that with you today. He says, Yesh li hakol. I have everything. A man who has gone through not an easy life, someone who had fears, someone who had done wrong, comes to terms with everything in his life and says, Yesh li hakol. I have everything. I hope for you, me, to be able to say that every day, to remember the gratitude that we have with what comes to us in our lives, and to always be able to say, Yesh li hakol. Thank you, everybody. See you next time.